6:15 p.m. in Laurenti in the Ambele clan of the northwest region of Cameroon, same time in Douala. Thanks for joining us on the primetime newscast in the English language on Canal International. My name is Gladys Ambodiban. Stay tuned for major stories. Stakeholders in Edea and the Senegal Maritime Division are multiplying efforts to effectively combat cholera, which for now has killed 2 persons, with 8 suspected cases reported. There are plans to multiply sensitization campaigns that are underway, this to help change the mindset and lifestyle of the population. And huge climate variation has been announced with effects on health, agro-pastoral, public works, water and energy sectors in the months of September, October and November 2022. The National Observatory on Climate Change made the announcement during the presentation of the 20th edition of the seasonal bulletin on weather forecast for the 5 agroecological zones of the country. And as part of efforts to cleanse the advertising sector in Douala littoral region, where hundreds of agencies operate without an authorization and defy the laws and regulations governing the sector, the Ministry of Communication is imbibing advertising control agents with the necessary tools to crack down on defaulters. They are meeting in Douala to strategize on how to oblige advertising consulting agencies respect laws governing the sector. Those were our major stories. Stay tuned for developments.
Canal International.
Good evening once again, and thanks for joining us. We begin with the story from Edea and the Senegal Maritime Division. The fight against cholera in that part of the country is intensifying, especially as 2 people have died from cholera and 8 suspected cases have already been recorded. Stakeholders in the health sector in the Senegal Maritime Division are multiplying efforts to imply or multiply sensitization campaigns in order to change the mindset and lifestyle of the population in order to reduce the rate of cholera in that area. The details with Marendi.
For more than a week now, the number of cholera cases have continued to increase in Edea in the Senegal Maritime Division. 8 suspected cases, including 2 deaths, have been reported. Medics at the Edea Regional Hospital have expressed worries, especially as the people live in a town that is limited in safe drinking water, while hygiene and sanitation is yet to be fully embraced by the population. In a crisis meeting, councillors, medics, as well as traditional authorities put heads together for a strategy that could eventually roll out the disease from the area. Suspected cases have been reported, with 1 death. The growing statistics only pushes us to take measures. Patients tested positive are immediately placed on treatment. Recovery rate stands at slightly above 80%. Meantime, focus is on constant sensitization of the population on the risk they are exposed to as they live in filthy environments. The population must understand cholera exists and is a killer disease. We will continue to sensitize the population on a change of lifestyle and the risk they stand if they live and consume dirt. According to medics, cholera is more favorable in neighborhoods limited to insufficient access to safe drinking water and inadequate sanitation.
And the National Observatory on Climate Change has announced huge variations with effects on health, agro-pastoral, public works, environment, water and energy sectors in the months of September, October and November 2022. This was during the presentation of the 20th edition of the seasonal bulletin on the weather forecast for the 5 agroecological zones in the country that was in Balmayo in the center region of the country. Beatrice Gamo tells us more.
The projections in the 20th edition of the seasonal bulletin on weather forecast for the 5 agroecological zones of Cameroon was based on 2 climatic parameters: temperature and rainfall for the months of September, October and November.
There will be a general increase in rainfall, especially the southern part of the country, from the Adamawa region right down south. In the month of September, there will be a reduction in temperatures, that is the average temperatures. But these temperatures will be increasing progressively for the months of October and November.
Situation that will impact different socioeconomic and developmental sectors such as agro-pastoral, health, public works, environment, and water and energy.
We are going to experience the growth of wheat in most plantations, which will increase the cost of production. For the livestock sector, since there will be increase in precipitation, we may have the flooding of farms, which will register losses. And maybe in the public works sectors, areas that are in highlands, we are going to experience landslides and mud flows. These have been evident in our last predictions.
There will be a reduction in temperature in the month of September.
We are going to register losses in the poultry sector. Now, the temperatures will be increasing progressively in the month of October and November. In the northern part, the temperatures will reduce and cases of flu and maybe cough will be registered.
Presenting the document Tuesday at Mbarmayo, the General Manager of National Observatory on Climate Change, Joseph Amate Amogo, called on the population like the concerned administrations to follow and implement the recommendations by the observatory to protect themselves and any manageable future disaster.
And how can children with intellectual disability be autonomous and better integrate with their lifestyle? This is the concern of some non-governmental organizations for the right of children and mental disability. The focus of the FIT Forum is to sensitize parents and the public at large to take out these children to where they can benefit from education they need like other children. Beatrice Gamo once again.
For 11 years, Lucy has cherished her bundle of joy with the love of her mother who believed in a better future for her daughter with intellectual disability. Enough time for looks-like reaction to be pushed to the background. She braces all obstacles her way because of her daughter. In the night, every 2 hours, her daughter is awake before going back to sleep. But the worst part is that she's always in crisis.
Constamment beaucoup de crises. C'est même ça même qui lui rend quand même trop fatigué.
The first forum on mental disability in Yaoundé is to plead with parents not to forget the special needs of these children, as they called on the government to ensure their follow-up, especially as far as education is concerned. For measures in Cameroon in socio-professional and educational plan and more. They, like normal children, have their place and role in the society, while discrimination like marginalization of this category of children with intellectual disability condemned. A little more time and attention can do the magic. The children have real intellectual capacities. Some can be autonomous, self-reliant in the work they engage. Using the theme, "Why not then?" simply put, tells it is possible and can happen if the society join the parents to make the dream of the children come true.
And let's talk about education ahead of the 2022-2023 academic year. Classes that resumes in a few days. Heads of schools as well as proprietors are leaving no stone unturned in line with measures to ensure proper security in their school premises, especially after that characterized by violence that was last academic year. Beatrice Ngamo once again from Yaoundé.
Construction of high walls all around the school premises makes it difficult for students to climb and jump in or out at will as before. Monitoring in classrooms like practical halls has taken a different dimension, as most schools have invested for the security of their children. The alert concerns all in the school administration chain. It starts with the security at the gate, systematic, thorough search of students, their bags, and it continues.
If you look around, you will see that we have a fence. They just built a fence to surround the school. If you look around, you see that there are security men at the gate. And then what he has done particularly that's very good, he has decided to keep each sector with a discipline master, such that when students pass through the gate, they are controlled at the gate. And then after that, when they get to their different sectors, they are still controlled.
The school also works in close collaboration with the forces of law and order in their areas, in case of situation they cannot manage.
Également pour la sécurité, on est en relation étroite avec la police du 7e arrondissement, de Colisson, la gendarmerie, les forces de l'ordre. Lorsqu'il y a un souci, si ça va au-delà de nos forces, on les appelle pour qu'ils viennent nous renforcer.
These are school supplies, especially in the technical education setup, which is a little bit complicated, as practical instruments such as compass, screwdrivers, and more are pointed sharp tools which are also very dangerous violence weapons.
So they are controlled before they enter the classroom, and then they take all the measures, and from time to time even teachers to keep an eye on them to know that what they are doing is exactly to keep security in the place.
They sensitize their students on how to carry and make sure they are for studies and not tools to terrorize around.
And still in education, second-hand textbook vendors are complaining business is slow just few days to the start of the new school year. They complain that the frequent change of textbook and the recent offer of some textbooks or free textbooks to some pupils in primary school are some of the reasons they have advanced for the slow business in the second-hand textbook business. Stephanie Chin tells us more.
Along the streets of Douala are improvised makeshifts used by roadside vendors of second-hand textbooks. Some parents still prefer buying second-hand textbooks for their children because it's less costly. Recently, government support program for education reform in Cameroon offered some free textbooks to government primary school pupils for the 2022-2023 academic year. A gesture which roadside book vendors have received with mixed feelings, coupled with the frequent replacement of some textbooks. To these vendors, this constitutes an obstacle to their source of income. We invested money in some textbooks last year. We had to borrow money from meetings and other sources, but here we are unable to recycle them. All is a waste. Frequent changing of textbooks is important, but roadside book vendors should be considered. These vendors regret having spent money in buying textbooks which have been offered to pupils for free. Christel remains a faithful customer. Since CZM, he has been the one recycling our textbooks. At times, we don't get what we need in bookshops, but when we turn to him, he proposes other textbooks which are useful, and his books are affordable. Many people prefer to buy from these roadside vendors because their books can be changed for lower or upper class textbooks.
And as part of efforts to clean the advertising sector in Douala Littoral region, where hundreds of advertising consulting agencies operate without authorization and who defy the laws and regulations governing the advertising sector, the Ministry of Communication is currently imbibing advertising control agents with the necessary tools needed to crack down on defaulters. They are meeting in Douala to strategize on how to oblige these advertising consulting agencies to actually respect the laws governing the sector. Have more in this report.
It is common nowadays to find adverts in Cameroon that are non-compliant, misleading, those with obscene images or messages, and those that undermine or discredit the state. They are produced by advertising consulting agencies or companies, most of which do not respect the law and regulations of the advertising sector.
We have many campaigns that are not signed. So we are not able to know did the consultancy and who provided the announcers. There are also advertisement placement company who practice without we don't have any knowledge of where they practice. We don't have any knowledge of their infrastructure. We also have this issue of people who have nothing to do with the sector, who have no license.
If anybody know that to make advertisement here in Cameroon, it must start by going in the agency who is in charge to design. Many things will be solved.
That is why these advertising control agents of the Ministry of Communication are meeting in Douala this August 31, 2022, to upgrade skills on the role they should play in ensuring the implementation of the regulation governing the sector.
We came here to organize this seminar to assist the regional delegate in organizing this seminar, which aims at providing the collaborator of the Minister of Communication with tools to work on the field as controllers of the advertising activities. There are many wrongdoing on the field, and they have to know what they have to go to see and how they can manage it to make sure that those who are practicing the advertisement in the advertisement sector work in the light of the law.
At the end of the workshop, the control agents are therefore expected to cleanse the sector by ensuring the advertising agencies comply or implement sanctions on defaulting agencies. There are slightly above 100 advertising and communication agencies that have the authorization to operate in the Littoral region in accordance with the December 28, 2021 decision approving the advertising profession.
And registration on the electoral list, which started on January 6, 2022, ends this August 31, 2022. And in the Douala 3 locality, some of the local authorities have initiated sensitization campaign during the last 3 days with the aim to obtain a large number of latecomers to register before the end of the campaign. That is this August 31. Sheriff Asali tells us more.
These agents are sensitizing and inviting on the population of this area here at the Douala 3 locality to register on the electoral list scheduled for 2025.
Douala 3 is a very big council, and it is not possible to do the turn of all the quarters.
The voters of last minute are being served before the turn-off of the Cameroon election machines. At the gloom of the national registration campaign, the campaign turned fruitful, despite the challenges faced by these agents.
Absence of ID cards. Many people don't have the ID card, and those who have the ID card keep it at home because they are afraid to lose it and to start running about the establishment of the new ID.
However, the goal expected is to get a result of 7 million registered members on the electoral file, which they have been working on for years for the next elections scheduled for 2025.
And we talk religion before we wrap up this edition of the newscast. Prominent Omega Fire Ministry worldwide servant of God, Apostle Johnson Solomon's visit to Cameroon has been made official. His September 13 and 14, 2022 crusade in Douala, Littoral region of Cameroon is focused on praying for peace and also for the sick. His mega crusade will take place at the Bepanda Omispor Stadium in Douala. This was made known in a recent press briefing still in Douala. Stephanie Chin has more on that story.
The visit of Nigerian-born evangelist Apostle Johnson Suleiman has been made official. During a press conference that took place in Douala, it was revealed that the mega crusade will take place on September 13 and 14 under the theme Mighty Turnaround Cameroon.
Apostle Johnson Suleiman is coming on the 13th and the 14th of September. His purpose of coming is for the peace and the restoration of Cameroon.
The choice of Douala as venue is termed divine direction.
The other time he was in Bamenda, the other time he was in Limbe. So his coming to Douala is based on divine revelation, divine direction, because Douala is the place where God has directed him to come.
It was made known during the press briefing that the 2-day crusade is an initiative of Apostle Johnson Suleiman of Omega Fire Ministries worldwide to pray for God's intervention in Cameroon and a mighty turnaround. His branch pastors, Sons of the Prophet Network, other servants of God, and the public are called upon to take part in this crusade.
We believe God that as he comes to pray with us, we'll begin to see the restoration and the changes in this nation. Yesterday we had meeting. And in the meeting, we have pastors from different churches. Cameroonians love Apostle. Different pastors love him because he prays with them and their ministry is doing well.
The event is focused on the need for captives to be set free, healing and deliverance, and peace for the nation.
Please tell somebody. If you live in the neighboring countries, wherever you live, tell someone to tell someone to tell someone.
It should be noted that this comes at a time when some parts of Cameroon are faced with socio-political crisis.
And it is without religious reports that we wrap up this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal, the International. The French edition will be yours at 7:50 p.m. I will be yours again same time tomorrow, God's willing. Bye-bye.